Okay, so have you ever been in like one of those awkward small talk situations?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, we've all been there.
Right. Like sometimes it feels like pulling teeth.
Totally. And it's like you're just searching for something, anything to talk about.
Exactly. And today we're going to do a deep dive into the world of small talk.
We're going to explore ways to make it less painful.
Less painful and maybe even enjoyable. And we're going to be looking at this blog post on conversation skills that I found.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It had some interesting tips and tricks. And like one of the things that I thought was really fascinating was the suggestion to go beyond those surface level questions like,
How are you?
yeah, how are you? How's the weather?
Yeah.
And to like offer something personal instead.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like to spark a connection.
Like right off the bat.
Yeah, and I was like, is that too much too soon?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people feel that way. Like, you don't want to overshare, but
Yeah.
there's a balance.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, like, we as humans, we crave connection.
And when you offer something personal, it kind of shows vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it can encourage the other person to do the same.
So it's like you're building trust right from the start.
Exactly. It's like you're saying, hey, I'm willing to open up a little.
I'm hoping you will too.
Yeah, exactly.
So instead of asking, like, what do you do for fun?
Yeah.
You know, you could say something like, I just got into cooking Thai food.
Have you ever tried making your own?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And it's not just asking you a question, it's sharing a part of yourself.
Right.
And that makes it more engaging, you know?
Yeah.
And more memorable.
It's like you're setting the tone for a more authentic conversation right from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And speaking of authenticity, this article also talked about the importance of open-ended questions.
Oh, yeah, those are key.
Instead of those questions that just have like a yes or no answer.
Right. You want to keep the conversation flowing.
Yes.
You want to avoid those dead ends.
So instead of saying like, did you have a good weekend?
You could ask, what was the highlight of your weekend?
Right.
Something like that.
And it's like so subtle.
It is.
But I think it makes such a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. Because with an open-ended question, you're inviting the other person to share more.
Yeah.
You're making them feel heard.
And valued.
Exactly. You're showing that you're actually interested.
Not just like going through the motions.
Yeah. It's not just small talk. It's
Yeah.
like you actually care.
This article also had this really interesting tip about using honesty and humor.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a little bit surprised by this one.
Really? How so?
It suggested like finding common ground by sharing even like anxieties or things that make you nervous.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I thought that was really powerful.
It can be because it's like acknowledging our shared humanity.
Right.
We all have those vulnerabilities.
Yeah, and it breaks down barriers.
It does.
You know, I used to hate networking events.
Oh,
And then I started doing this thing where instead of trying to project this image of perfection, I would just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
yeah.
And so many people would be like, me too.
Yeah, because it's relatable.
It is. And it totally changed my whole experience.
Because people feel more comfortable when you're authentic.
Yes.
When you're real.
And then, of course, there's humor.
Oh, yeah. You gotta have some humor in there.
This blog post suggested using humor to lighten the mood, which, like, obviously makes sense.
Of course. Yeah?
But how do you, like, incorporate humor without it being awkward?
Yeah, you don't want it to be forced.
No.
I think it's all about being observant.
Okay.
Finding humor in those everyday moments. Like maybe
Yeah.
there's a really long line at the coffee shop.
Okay.
You can make a lighthearted comment about that.
Or like a self-deprecating joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Just keep it genuine.
Yeah.
Keep it light.
Okay, now this next tip, I have to say, I was a little skeptical about.
Oh, really?
It was the suggestion to use random fun facts.
As conversation starters.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see why you'd be skeptical.
Like, really?
But our brains love novelty.
Right.
So when you throw in a fun fact, it can catch people off guard.
Okay.
It makes you memorable.
So instead of asking someone, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
You could say, like, did you know that a group of owls is called a parliament?
What do you think they discuss?
Yeah, exactly. Like something like that.
Yeah, it just injects a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Unexpected fun.
Okay. I'm willing to try it.
It can be really effective.
Okay, now the last thing that this article really emphasized was the importance of active listening.
Yes, this is so important.
And I think we all know that we should be active listeners,
Right.
but sometimes I think we forget.
We do. It's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts. But active listening, it's more than just hearing the words.
It's about being present,
Yes.
engaged.
You're making eye contact, you're nodding, you're asking follow-up questions.
So if someone's telling you about their love of hiking, instead of just being like, oh, that's cool,
You could ask, what's the best trail you've been on?
Yeah. Show that you're actually listening.
Exactly.
I mean, it's amazing how much of a difference these like little things make.
It really is. It's all about those subtle shifts in communication
It's like turning small talk from something that we dread.
into something that we enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's the goal.
It is, because at the end of the day, we all crave connection.
And these little tips and tricks can help us build those connections.
Absolutely, one conversation at a time.
So as you're going about your day-to-day life, think about how you can bring a little bit more authenticity.
Curiosity. To your interaction.
And you never know what might happen.
You might be surprised.
Who knows? You might even make a new friend.
Exactly. Or land a new job.
The possibilities are endless.
They are so. Go out there and have some fun with it.
And remember, small talk doesn't have to be so small after all.
It can be the start of something big.